Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review of a mainstream Hollywood horror film, English language, released in the year 2007, directed by David Slade, and this film is called 30 Days of Night. And the story to 30 Days of Night is as follows. In Barrow, Alaska, one night can last for an eternity. Once a year, this town located in the far north of the Arctic Circle is plunged into darkness for 30 days. This year, something sinister is about to emerge from the long and unforgiving night. As a maniacal horde of vampires assume control of the streets and commence feasting on the terrified citizens, the local sheriff, his wife, and a small but resilient band of survivors will be forced to choose between saving themselves or helping the few remaining townsfolk survive the blood-soaked siege. So the movie takes place in Barrow, which is a town in Alaska, a very, very secluded town, that for 1 month a year, for 30 days, basically the sun goes down and it stays down. So at the start of the movie, we're on the eve of this month, and this month is going to be unlike any other. So at the start of the movie, we have half of the townsfolk leaving Barrow until this month is over, and then you've got other townsfolk who decide to stay in this town because they like that sort of thing. So there's a very close-knit community, and you can tell that these are very unique individuals. So the people left behind are a sheriff, his wife, and his family, and some other townsfolk people that you really get an introduction to. So on the eve of, as I said, this 30 Days a Night, there is a stranger that comes into the town, and he's very weird, and he starts mumbling about imminent danger, that danger is coming for them and that they're going to have no idea what's going to hit them. So to start with, they dismiss this as just drunken talk, but then it turns out there is a lot of truth to what he says. And what happens to this townfolk is absolutely terrifying when their town is besieged by a gang of bloodthirsty vampires. Now, these vampires are vicious to say the least, and they pick off the townspeople, but there are a few surviving townspeople, and they're hiding in the town, and they don't know what to do because they can't run away because the town is so secluded and it's such a harsh environment that if they run away, they're going to freeze to death, and they have to wait 30 days for the sun to come back up. So the vampires are really calling the shots, and they're hunting the last remaining townsfolk, and so the townsfolk have to band together in order to survive this ordeal. And whether or not they survive, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that is as far as I'm going with a synopsis. Now my thoughts on this movie. Mainstream Hollywood horror, you guys know how much I hate it for the simple reason that I feel the directors are making it just for money. They splash all this CGI special effects on, they put nudity in, they put a lot of gore in, but it really doesn't have much else. So going into this one, I was very skeptical. I was expecting something of just a gore fest and nothing else. But I was absolutely shocked to see that this one has a lot more going for it. Now this is a genuine horror film. It is genuinely chilling, and it will send a chill down your spine with the amount of suspense that's in it. Now the cinematography is absolutely outstanding. It captured a very harsh environment, and it really suited what the film was all about. This is a very cold, dark, and very cruel film. And the environment that these people have to live in is that. It's very cruel and unforgiving. So when the bad things start happening, you know that they're all by themselves, that no help is coming, and that gives a certain level of realism. In a lot of horror films, especially Hollywood horror, there are so many options for the characters to escape, and you kind of question their motives for staying. But in this one, you don't question their motives because they haven't got any other option. Now, yes, they could have called for help, but at the start of the movie, it's indicated that the mobile phones have all been damaged, so they can't really call for help, and you know that help's not going to come, so it's really in their hands to survive this onslaught. Now, the gore is in the movie, and it is very good gore, but it's few and far between, which really surprised me. And something that foreign horror do so well is psychology, and this movie has psychology in bucket loads. Now, at the start of the movie, when this strange guy comes in, you know something is off. You don't know exactly what it is, but you know something really bad is going to happen. And the tension rises straight from the first scene. Straight from the first scene, you see what happens to the mobile phones, and you know, yep, this month of this year is going to be one hell of, a very, very different month, and it's going to be a different month for the worst. So when the tension just keeps on rising, and then usually when a horror film reveals what the danger is, it kind of goes down in suspense. But I was really surprised to see that the suspense is sustained throughout the entire length. The majority of the movie takes place with the vampires hunting the townsfolk, and I thought that was exceptionally done, and you really have sympathy for the characters in this film, and not because it's character development, but by how harsh the actual vampires are. Now, this is not Twilight. If you're sick of the Twilight sparkly, friendly, vegetarian, rubbish vampires, and you think that's an insult, you want to throw back into the old-fashioned sort of vampire in the brutality, this one is definitely one for you. These vampires are absolutely cruel, and they will spare absolutely no one. So the fact that they're so ruthless just creates so much fear, because you know that when these townsfolk are found, they're going to die. So it has a really high level of threat, and as a result of that, you're left on the edge of your seat, because there are so many instances in the film where they could be caught, and you kind of feel that at any second their cover is going to be blown. So I thought the suspense levels were absolutely fan-bloody-tastic. Now, the acting from the vampires is very good. Danny Huston plays the lead of the vampires. Now, I really like the fact that they had a different language. It's kind of not English, and it gives them an inhumane sort of quality. It's kind of like a Slavic kind of language, which, is something really cool. They're not, English-speaking vampires. So that aspect to it, I thought the vampires were really well drawn out. They look very vicious, and they certainly act very vicious, and it's very barbaric. Some of the scenes that you see where the vampires are dispatching their victims, they don't want to turn anybody. They basically just want to slaughter them. So, yeah, these vampires are really, very, very cruel. So if you want old-fashioned vampires that stay true to the legend, then this one's definitely for you. Now, the acting from the townsfolk, you got Josh Hartnett, who plays the sheriff. I'm not a fan of Josh Hartnett. I was very skeptical about whether or not he would pull off the role, because it's a very dominant role. But I was really surprised by his role in this one. I actually found myself liking him. When the bad things happen, I actually started supporting him. Then you've got Melissa George, who plays his wife. Their relationship was very interesting, because it was very dysfunctional. Some bad things have happened to them. So at the start, they're very distant, but then when the bad things start happening, they come together, and it kind of shows that these connections can become even stronger when facing adversity. So I really like that sort of subplot to the film. I thought it wasn't told in depth, but there was enough in it to really create some mystery, and you're kind of guessing what had happened. But then when they band together, it gives you the indication that true love really will stand against really horrible things. So the supporting cast, they all did a good job. I thought there were no annoying characters, which is something I also really liked. And the fact when the onslaught happens, when the vampires first attack this town, it was so cruel that you really felt sorry for the people getting caught in it. So suspense-wise, absolutely fantastic. It promises gore, and when it delivers the gore, you'll be very, very satisfied. My only problem with the movie was the fact that the ending was a little bit of a cop-out. I thought it was a stereotypical sort of Hollywood ending, but fortunately it didn't ruin it. There are endings out there that are much worse. There is no twist, so you don't have to worry about that. It's not going to really shock you with a cheap sort of twist. But I just thought the ending could have been a lot better. But having said that, it's still not the worst ending I've ever seen, and it does not in any way affect the movie in a negative sort of light. So, yeah, I mean, it's fantastically shot, well acted, and the storyline and the gore effects and the suspense, more importantly, the suspense, is absolutely fantastic. So, as far as a mainstream Hollywood horror film is concerned, this one is genuinely scary. It will freak you out. The vampires are absolutely ruthless, and there are some really, really good set pieces of suspense. So, it's kind of like a hide-and-go-seek film. So, if that sounds like one for you, definitely pick this one up. I am giving it 4 stars. I really liked it, and I'm sure a lot of you out there will as well. So that is my review for 30 Days a Night. As far as American Hollywood mainstream horror is concerned, this one is on top of the pile. So 4 stars, definitely go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.